Hi Michelle, this is Michelle Rojas. This is the essay portion for the Core Shamanic Healing and Counseling Training Program application. The first question that you asked was, how did I hear about the program? I actually heard about the program directly through you during our Core Shamanic Healing and Counseling session last week. And I went with the intention for the session to work through and heal ancestral trauma and personal trauma that I think has had a huge impact on my spiritual journey, my career path, my personal life, and has just created some blockages for me to get through. And I was really hoping also to connect with my ancestors and gain some insight and guidance on what the next path or step is for me in my spiritual journey. I feel like I kind of came to fork in the road and deciding how to move forward. Like, I know I've always had a lot of interest in different practices, different types of rituals, but I'd never wanted to learn anything that was trendy per se. I don't want to learn Reiki just because everyone's doing Reiki. I don't want to do yoga because everyone does yoga. I want whatever practice I really dedicate myself to be very intentional and very much connected with what my actual ancestral lineage is. So during my session, we discussed some about my ancestral lineage and being connected to the Colombian shaman, specifically relating to the black jaguar. So that in itself was the information that I was looking for going into this, and really I felt really overwhelmed, but in a positive way, because I finally now see where I'm supposed to move. So I was overwhelmed, but in a way, like, this is the answer I've been looking for and the answer that I've been searching for to move me in the right direction in my spiritual practices and my journey. I've always felt really connected to my indigenous roots, not knowing too much exactly about who my ancestors really were, and despite not fully knowing, I feel like I really embody their spirit and their beliefs in all aspects of my life, including even down to physically. I feel like, especially on my dad's side, really on both sides of my family, I'm the most indigenous looking one out of everyone, so I always felt kind of like a black sheep in the family. But it kind of always made me question, who were my ancestors? The next question was, what do you feel has led you to this spiritual path? I feel like I've always been on this spiritual path ever since I was a kid. I've always been really extremely aware and observant of my surroundings, of different energies of different people around me. I felt the way that I thought about things and how I experienced them was very different in comparison to peers and kids my age. There's definitely several moments in my life where I experienced moments where I knew things before they would occur, either by hearing exact words of a conversation before it happened, just knowing things or dreaming about things that would eventually happen, or feeling like an intuitive energy that something bad is about to happen, or even sometimes good things that were about to happen. Around 2014, 2015, I really discovered and embarked on my spiritual journey more in a more aware and intentional manner. I realized that a lot of the hardships and energetics of other people around me, like people closest to me, were impacting me on a personal level. And I started to realize that I would physically and spiritually and energetically embody other people's traumas or whatever they were going through at the time. And I didn't really understand why it was impacting me so severely. And around this time, I actually went to a spiritual store, and I overheard a conversation between one of the customers and the store owners, and she was describing very similar things that were happening to her. And then they told her how she was probably an empath. And then I asked my own questions, and the same feeling that I got when you told me about the shamans in Colombia and what you saw during our session, that overwhelmed, but in a good way, was the same feeling I had that day, because I felt like, okay, here's some clarity, here's the answer I've been looking for. Why am I feeling this way all the time? And so that's the first time I really meditated, because they suggested that meditation was important for protecting your energetic field, especially as an empath, and cleansing your energetic field after taking on the energies of other people. So I meditated for the first time, and that was pretty much life-changing. I literally felt the energy come off my body the first time that I meditated. Like, I felt a huge weight kind of leave my body. Let's see. During that same time in my life, I was in a really low place in regards to my mental health. I coped through various forms of addictive behavior, including sex, alcohol, cannabis, excessive spending of money, you name it. And around 2016, I kind of started to snap out of it and started to become more aware of my behavior and what was leading me to acting this way, what I needed to do instead. So I started to take more care of my body through exercise and nutrition improvements, and I reduced my alcohol intake, and I stopped smoking so much cannabis. I partied way less than I ever had in my 20s. So around this time I was around 26. And I even became a vegetarian / pescatarian, and that physically I felt the best I ever had felt in my life. And I even realized how the energetics of food could have an impact on our mental and spiritual health. Have you experienced an initiation crisis or healing crisis on the way to finding this form of healing? Definitely. In the summer of 2016, I met my son's father, who later became my first husband.